off, so I'm out.
You're just gonna back
You know,
off. Fair enough.
so I backed out.
All right. Well, hey, for those who don't know, this is Master Nick, Master One Kick Nick, and he is my old Muay Thai coach.
I'm not as old Muay Thai
Yeah,
coach.
yeah. He.
I mean, I don't know how to take that. Am I old
No,
or
no, 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 no. I meant.
am I old or what?
No, 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 no.
He's calling me old?
I meant previous. My previous Muay Thai coach. The only Muay Thai coach I will ever have. If I ever go back, when I go back, it will be with Master Nick. I'm here to pick his brain today about protection and protecting your family, protecting your loved ones, and just protecting yourself, and how we stay ready, how we can get ready and stay ready for whatever may happen, whatever may come. So, Master Nick, can you do it? Just give him a quick little introduction about yourself, who you are, what you do.
Well, I'm Muay Thai. I own a One Kicks gym. Been in business for about 30 years, and
The OG.
I didn't start it off to be a business. I started the gym to get sparring partners.
Okay, because you were training yourself.
Yeah, and then it just kind of turned into, wow, this is pretty cool.
Was it Muay Thai all the time?
No, it wasn't Muay Thai all the time. It started off as above the waist, and then more of a karate, like kids karate classes, and
Give me a
Taekwondo.
What year are we talking?
Like 93.
So you've been in this.
Yeah, so 93, I was teaching, katas, and then
Wow, you?
So
Okay.
the kids classes were packed with karate kids, and then the adult class, Taekwondo class was okay, but the kickboxing class was full every night.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, maybe I stumbled onto something here. And then more kids started asking if they could do kickboxing, and then I did 2 classes. I was like, okay, let me try 2 nights a week.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do karate or Taekwondo 3 nights a week and kickboxing 2 nights a week.
And that's how you started making that transition?
And then all the kids wanted to go to kickboxing, so.
Very cool.
And I made stupid rules like you got to be a green belt before you can go on to the kickboxing classes, so I wouldn't lose all the karate kids,
Smart.
And then
Fair enough. So then where does kickboxing transition to Muay Thai for you?
Well, I did some Muay Thai matches early, like not so much Muay Thai, but some shoot boxing stuff, leg kick stuff.
Okay.
And but WKA stuff. And I just thought it was too hard for the average person to do at that time.
Okay.
So I was like, no, we're just going to do above the waist, knowing that above the waist was kind of dead. But then I went out to LA to a kickboxing tournament, and I took some kids. I took some adults, and then it was all leg kicks. And I was like, oh man, I didn't train these guys leg kicks. So we put them in anyway. They all wanted to fight anyway, and they all won. But they weren't that familiar with leg kicks. So I was like, well, maybe we better rethink this thing and start doing leg kicks. So then I started going back to Thailand and studying at my camp there.
Yeah, but you have a sister gym, right?
Yeah, S.P.E.A.R.
Say that one more time.
S.P.E.A.R.
S.P.E.A.R.
Yeah, in Bangkok, Thailand.
And that's your fighting method, right? The one.
Yeah, that's where I went and learned more about Muay Thai.
Very cool.
And then I stayed there for a while. And then when I came back, I started implementing the techniques into the classes. And I always had, always had instructors teaching for me when I was gone. And then when I came back, I was excited to show them all the new stuff and, things that they were doing now,
from Thailand.
Yeah.
To here.
So I was like, I can make this my own style, So I started putting my own boxing style into the Thai boxing style, and plus blending in some of the Taekwondo kicks and the Kyokushinkai kicks into the system. And then I was like, okay, this will work. So I developed, and then I watched some of the Holland guys and said, I'm already doing what they're doing, so let me just make it better. So then that's when everybody started coming to me, all the UFC fighters, I actually got you Chuck Liddell into the UFC.
There's photos of that, right?
Right.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
I remember you. I'm gonna try to find those, and I'll try to bring them up onto the screen. But there's him photos of Chuck Liddell, you as the corner man, and
Yeah.
things like that. Yeah, for Chuck Liddell and newer, more current fighters as well, right?
His instructor was John Heckelman, and then so Heckelman sent him out to me when we got the MMA stuff going. He said, "Go out there with Nick and see what they got going out there. Train with him for a little bit and see what's going on." Then he would eventually go back to Heckelman and continue his training with John. Mm-hmm. But I was just John's,
segue in.
Segue.
Like that.
Not like we're friends.
Yeah,
so he's like, cool. We had a couple little issues and now it's over. Now he's back.
Very cool.
And then so they've been together ever since, but Chuck's never forgot where he came from,
That next week, I was going out to Vegas to watch my buddy Alfie Alcaraz, who used to wrestle with me at Cal Poly, who'd started kickbox, and he was going to go kickbox. So I'm going with him. I'm at his weigh-ins before the fight, and his trainer, who is the promoter, Nick Blomgren, One Kick, he comes over and goes, "Hey Chuck, Alfie says you're pretty tough. You want to fight?"
Right there.
Yeah, I'm on. Sure, why not? What I got to do? And he goes, "Oh, you just got to come weigh in over here, and we're going to have you fight." And so,
right away.
No, it would be the next night. So just the way.
He still takes care of me,
Love that. I know you always have.
Like I went to dinner with him the other night, so.
That's so cool. I know you always have the pro fighters in and out of your gym.
Yeah.
During my time training with you, I've met some pretty cool people as well.
I got Dewey Cooper down there with me now.
I can't wait to bring him on, I hope.
So, he'll definitely come on.
Yeah, thank you. Dewey Cooper is the hand.
Dewey's amazing, he's, it's like watching the student become the master,
Yeah, right.
And now he's got his own group of guys, and they're all doing well,
That's true, because when Dewey was fighting, you were
his coach. I was his coach, yeah.
So now he's coming back. And
now
he's teaching the people.
And he likes training more guys than I like to train now. I only like a few guys. He likes a full class. I don't care.
You guys just opened up your newest. You had the OKG for a long time. You still have OKG, but you have the new location?
Yeah, I'm a new location.
Are you and Dewey together in that gym?
Yeah, we're together in that gym.
Because he had the Big Scary gym or something, right?
Yeah, he was at Big Scary, and then he left Big Scary, and he went to Split T.
Yeah.
And then I partnered up with Split T.
Very cool.
They came with me over there, so they run their boxing program. I run my Muay Thai program, and everything's working out.
Business brain. You've always been a man.
I think I'm not very good with the business part, but the ideal part I'm pretty good at.
Okay, there it is. I like that.
Yeah, and the more I drink, the better the ideas get.
Well, let's cheers. Let's cheers to this. That's what I say, right? The more I drink, the better the ideas get. I love that. Let me ask you, with Muay Thai and since you've had your experience with karate, with Muay Thai and kickboxing, what made you kind of stop at Muay Thai? Why didn't you journey outward?
To where?
Or did you? To any other martial arts style? What else
well,
is in
I
your
started
repertoire?
off with...
I know you know knife fighting.
Yeah, I started off with... Like, my very first art wasn't Taekwondo. It was North American Kung Fu with Arthur Sykes and Joe Salamone.
Okay.
And Joe Salamone...
What year are we talking again? I need some context.
Like you're like 19.
When you got to think like this, when you go like this.
Yeah, that's like they say.
You're going way back.
That's like in the 70s,
Man, all right.
Yeah, I don't want to give my age away, but.
No. I mean, I'm going to ask that because you are in one hell of shape.
I think like 76. 70, yeah, 76. Okay. I was like 14 or something. 12,
that was your first.
13 or 14, I started with the Kung Fu.
What made you?
I boxed earlier. I was boxing
since
I was like 10, but I really just kind of saw a Bruce Lee movie and I was like, okay, that would be cool. I need to learn that shit.
Love it.
Yes. And then so I started training with Arthur, and he really had a big interest in me. And then my his instructor was Joe Salamone, and Joe Salamone was like, took me under his wing, and then they would train me boxing.
Okay.
And they were like, you need to do more than just Kung Fu. You need to do some boxing. And then we mixed Kung Fu into the boxing.
Getting creative, Bruce Lee style. I like
yeah,
that.
so we ran with that, and then I was like, I need to learn how to kick. I'm kind of natural at it. I need to get better
Their
at it.
kicks are
So then I started.
they're brutal.
I started doing Taekwondo, and I did that. So I got a 3rd-degree black belt under North American Kung Fu under Arthur Sykes and Joe Salamone.
Wow. Okay.
And Joe Salamone was my main instructor, and then Arthur Sykes was his master, well, our master, but Joe was his number one dude,
Mm.
And then so Joe always told him, come see what I've done with him, and he'd come check me out, and he was like always pretty impressed, and then he passed away, but on his deathbed, he told Joe to give me my 3rd-degree black belt. So
wow, that's interesting.
yeah, so that was interesting and surprising, and
Yeah,
he always had a love for me,
love that.
And then me and Joe continued on, and then he trained me kickboxing, and then worked with me through that, and then that's when things started happening.
That's just everything started evolving from there.
Yeah, and then of course there was no kickboxing shows here, anywhere around here at the time, so we had to travel to do stuff, And then a couple of times that there was kickboxing here, I fought on the undercard, And then, but it was tough, It was not like it is now.
No, everyone's
Definitely
fighting.
not.
Everyone's fighting.
I mean, I was probably the first or second kickboxing gym in Vegas.
Any other names that were back then?
Well, you probably remember Kevin Rozier
Okay.
and Tommy Glanville.
Never heard Tommy Glenn, but I remember back in the day when I was searching gyms years ago, when I found you and I found Tony Valente, Jack Times, all them. I remember the only other name around I thought was, I think, Master Toddy.
Yeah, I was before him.
Yeah, okay, that's what I remember, because I remember he was just being established when I went
he
to
was a
his
pure
gym.
Muay Thai gym. Pure Muay Thai.
I noticed you did teach a lot more. You taught a lot more, I don't want to say effective, but I would say more realistic things that you could translate from the ring to self-protection and things like that.
Self-protection, yeah.
Let me actually, now we go, that's a good segue into this. At what point did you stop the actual training and getting into the teaching and teaching people how to protect themselves? And
Well, it just came with trying to find the sparring partners,
You just kept wrecking through everybody.
So,
I got to find some people on my level, so I'm going to train them.
So I just started, the guys started coming to the gym. They just found me.
Love
And then it just started building a name from there,
Very cool.
But, but the name One Kick didn't come from being in the ring. It came from a nightclub.
Okay, let's get into that.
Yeah, it was in 1988. EJ was a guy named Jack and a guy named EJ were the managers and bouncers of this club. And I came outside, and there was this Mexican dude that just got out of prison, and he was talking a mess up, like he was going to beat all their asses, and EJ was like, I can't hit him because I'll get in trouble. Can you flash this guy for me? I was like, I'll be right back. So I went over there and kind of stood near the dude, and he turned and said, do you want some? And I kicked him.
Lit him up one good what kind of kick was it?
I just hit him with a round kick.
Right to the face?
Yeah, right to the jaw,
Beautiful. I've experienced the light sparring one of those. It's not pretty.
And he went out, and then I smacked him 3 times with an open hand smack in the face while he was down.
Oh, my goodness.
And told him he messed with the wrong dude. And then his friends come running over. We'll get him out of here. Don't hurt him. Don't hurt him. But he was already out, And the smacks brought him back a little bit. But then I left because I don't stick around.
You can't.
I never stick around after something like that happens. I leave.
Smart.
And so I said, well, I'm probably in trouble with the club. Maybe they're mad because I hit him. I didn't really check, I just did it for EJ.
That's how it is sometimes.
So I figured a couple weeks had went by, so I go back. And then when I went back, a couple of the guys that worked the door radioed in, hey, One Kick's here. I'm looking around like, who the hell is One Kick?
Oh, wow.
And then I came out, Jack Croft came out and said, hey, one kick. And then EJ came out, hey, one kick. And I was like,
Excuse me.
what you guys call me one kick for? And they were like, that's what we call you here now. Because you hit that dude with one kick. He was out. So you're one kick. And at first I didn't like it, but then back then how things got around in town, because there was no cell phones or anything, the way they got news was the cab drivers.
Okay.
So cab drivers were sitting around, and then they'd all talk. By the time I left there and went to other clubs, it was, hey, one kick, what's up?
And then from there, just try to travel.
Yeah,
Wow.
so then everyone was calling me one kick around town because there was only a few clubs, you know. There
Yeah,
was
back
no
then.
clubs inside.
Because you were like biker ganged out back then, I remember from the stories.
Yeah,
At that point, right?
yeah. I rode in some outlaw biker clubs, you know.
Love that. So let me ask you. So that kick worked.
So
right?
the kick worked, and then of course it worked all over town.
Okay. So now here's where I gotta ask. What martial art would you suggest to the average person who's never trained before, who's never even thought about protection, never thought about it all? But we're talking more or less ring and more realistic street things that could potentially happen. Excuse me. Things that could potentially happen.
Well, let me put it to you like this. All the Krav guys, the real Krav, like you were talking real Krav Maga, and not this watered down Krav where you can go for 3 months and next thing you know you're an instructor or a level instructor and never been in a street fight in your life, you know, and these guys are trying to teach you how to street fight that never been in a street fight. So it's all BS, you know.
Fair enough.
So the real Krav guys are all educated in martial arts first before they do Krav. So the Mossad Israeli army, all those Krav guys that are in that special group, they're all black belts in karate.
I see what you're saying. So you're saying it's not the Krav itself, it's the martial art before that.
Yeah, it's what you learn before to turn it to street.
So if you don't know anything, what's step one?
Find a karate school.
Karate. You would suggest karate?
Or find a Muay Thai school or find some school to learn an art, you know, because everybody adapts to different arts, you know.
Okay, so you're saying...
I'm not saying one's better than the other. I'm just saying
Good answer.
Get some training first before you do Krav, because you kick me in the nuts and I'm gonna hurt you. You know, so if you don't have a frame of mind to kill someone or to fight back, how do you get that frame of mind?
That's what I was going to ask. How does one build that? If they've never even thought about fighting, if they never thought about striking, how does one actually build that mindset?
Well, it's just like, you know, if you're going to be a good shooter, right? You got to start off shooting targets before you can shoot someone, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. You got to have targets. You got to have, you know, you got to have your background. You know, you got to build something. You got to build your layers of, I need to learn how to punch first. Oh, then now I need to learn how to kick. Now I need to learn how to do elbows. Now I need to.
So you're thinking, break it down into each category and then bring it all together.
I think you need formal training, and whether it be karate or Muay Thai or Jiu-Jitsu, you need some formal training first before you can become an actual real Krav guy.
Yeah.
And then you need to do some formal training before you become a stick fighter or a knife fighter, you know?
I got to ask you this. You keep coming back to Krav specifically. And I noticed I never mentioned Krav. I mentioned street fighting, and you said Krav. So is that, in your mind, is that like what you consider to be?
No, that's what people consider to be.
Okay. Because I actually don't. Like my time with you, years of training with you and years of training with people who you've trained.
I've never trained Krav.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
but I'm a
agree.
Krav Maga guy. No.
I love it. I've seen your knife work.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I will try to find that video and post it up on the screen.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. But
I'll send it to you.
You have it?
Yeah, I have
Please
it. Yeah.
send it to me. I'll have it. I'll send it. I'll have it posted up on the video right now. Anyways,
so I train. So in my world, I'm a martial artist, you know, and I'm a great street fighter.
Okay.
I'm probably better in the street than I'm in the ring, you know.
Fair enough. And what dictates that?
Just mindset, you know. My mindset is if you're here to hurt me, I'm hurting you and I'm taking you, and so hopefully someone's there to stop me.
Okay, yeah, I love that.
Because if you're trying to hurt me or take something from me, my life or something, I'm going to get you first. So my mindset in the street is strong. You have to have a mindset. You have to have you have to have a good mind to and be first and quick and and sense trouble and know when to go, when not to go. So I bounced in clubs for pretty much my whole life in Vegas. I probably haven't. I worked in clubs managing them. Of course, I wound up doing all the bouncing too. Or the security, you like to call it.
Fair,
People don't like to hear the word bouncer anymore, but I was a bouncer.
Fair.
So I started off doing that. And then in this town, you just have to know, there's a couple mentors that I had. There was a guy named J.C. Pinwell, and there's another guy named Smiling Rick. And those were the mean door guys back in the day. And I remember I started bouncing with them, and they were happy to have me. But then,
they have one kick. Of course, they're happy to have you.
I didn't react. Like I didn't know if I should go or if I shouldn't go. And then Smiling Rick got in my face, and then JC got in my face, and they were like, "Don't you ever let that dude up," because I let somebody off the hook after I knocked him down, and he was like, "Don't you?" He was just like in my face. You don't ever fucking let somebody up. You finish them. You know what I mean?
That's
you
that Cobra Kai style. Yeah.
He was basically, and of course, JC looked like the Cobra Kai guy. I always tell everybody he's the real Cobra Kai.
Right.
And my buddy JC that I used to I trained with him for years. And he was a bouncer, and then when I started working in the clubs, from that day on, and I seen those guys throttle people, I was like, that's the way it has to be done. I guess that's the way it's got to be done if I'm going to continue in this business,
Fair.
So I got mean real quick,
How does one build that? How does one build that mindset? Like, I mean, because let me say this.
I think it has to be wired in your system,
But so you don't think that you're saying that you don't think that someone who's never had any experience, who might want to get experience, you're saying that they might not have it, or do you think they can find it?
They might not have it. They might freeze. They might. I mean, I've had a lot of dudes throughout my, Dewey Cooper will tell you firsthand that I am not the dude to be messing with in the street.
I can.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
He's seen me go from 0 to 100 quick, and then has been shocked by it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, you want to talk to somebody about when you interview Dewey, just bring up one kick.
Oh, what else am I going to bring up? I'm going to be asking.
Just bring him up. Have you ever seen him in action?
Do you remember? Do you remember when we were when you would be training the class and we would be on bag work? You would tell us these cool little stories, and then you would, while we're hitting, and then during the break you'd pause, and that would be our motivation to keep hitting. Was your stories. Yeah. As soon as I talked to Dewey, I'm asking him some of those stories. I'm gonna ask for verification because he was in a lot of those stories.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he's one of my students for 30 years.
Love that.
He's been there pretty much at the gym since it started. I'll save it. I'll let him tell you the stories because he got different versions than I do. He makes me sound meaner than I am. I'm mean, but I'm not. I don't know.
I've known you since I was like 14, and I've only seen you mean. I wouldn't even say mean, but I would say, I guess, stern is towards your students when they do something.
Yeah.
I would say unethical. Yeah. Right. Like one time I remember specifically. You might not remember, but you were in the gym, and it was me, and there was Jack Times there, and me and my buddy who we had sparred a boxer apparently from, I forgot the guy's name, who trained out of that, but we were sparring a boxer, and you got pretty irritated that we weren't using the proper headgear, the proper equipment. There was no one watching it, and you actually got pretty irritated. That was the one time I saw you genuinely upset, and that was at your old gym, the one that was next door to the one you just bought now.
Yeah.
And
that's a long time ago.
Yeah, that's a long.
I can't remember that far back.
I was young, and it was a big deal because when you're young and you have a coach, that is a very big deal, right?
Right.
And I don't know. So when it comes to the youth, how do you make your impression? How do you build such a strong like connection with the youth, with these kids?
Well, I think how that works too is being a strict instructor and a no nonsense kind of guy, and they feed off of it. They see it, and then in their mind they're like, I got to be like that guy.
I love that. That's what I was hoping you say. It's almost like leading by example, right?
Right. Yeah. So I mean, the same thing too. When I got young guys that bounced with me in the clubs, this is the way it has to be done, or you're going to get killed. You don't do this, or you're going to get killed. You know what I mean? I don't know if you can see this pretty scar on my face right here.
Oh yeah, there it goes right there.
Yeah. It goes from here.
I think the light above the shadow won't cast right to see it, but it goes
so
from here to down
that's
here.
from being a nice guy.
Okay, explain that. Go deeper.
So I was. Frank,
that's a big thing we talk about here because I feel like the majority of guys nowadays are nice guys, and I feel like that's a detriment personally.
Frank Fatito owned a club called Tramps.
Okay, I want to go to a club called Tramps.
And I worked at this all-black nightclub, what was disco in 50s and 60s at one point. Then Tramps opened and killed the business, and they didn't, I think at the time, they were just lazy. They didn't understand how to really market their place. But it was right there on Sahara and Mojave, right?
Okay.
And so Tramps opened up, and it was right off the strip. So, of course, they got all the, people. Well, those guys recruited me, and the first night on the job, a little fight broke out, and then I was just being too nice, and I grabbed a hold of the two guys, and I turned them, and then, bang, their buddies hit me with a beer mug. But if I would have been, like, rough,
aggressive right off
the bat, then I would have got them out of there, and it wouldn't have been, hey, guys.
You're trying to talk your verbal judo your way out of it.
So
sometimes physicality is what it takes.
And I'd already bounced at, other clubs, but I never came across that situation before. And then so I turned the corner with them, and I went, and then the other thing was, over at my other club, you knew who we were because we dressed alike.
Okay.
We wore tuxedo shirts with a little pin, and sometimes a vest outside when you're working outside, so you look classy, you looked the part.
Official.
And of course, I worked there for about a year. That was in 1985, and I worked at Mr. G's, it was called, an Italian Jack Gallardi's club. And then, so I worked there, and I whooped ass and took names over there. But when these guys recruited me over to this other club and offered me more money, and I was like, yeah, let me come try it out. So I went over and tried it out for one night, first night there. I was trying to be nice because it was my first night. I didn't want to be an asshole,
You want it to come off as
like I know how to work with people, But we didn't have the uniforms. You're in your dress how you are, and you're working security, but nobody really knows who you are because you weren't dressed alike. So those guys probably thought I was just some dude off the street jumping in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so he blasted me with the beer mug, and then my face was cut open, and then the fight was on. And then, it was...
With your face open?
With my face open, the fight was on. And people were screaming, girls are screaming. And then I wiped my face. I could see for a second, then blood would go back in my face. I'm getting hit everywhere.
I guess, like you said, you just have to have that. Because it's that fight or flight.
Yeah. People are getting hit. I'm getting hit. And I never lost consciousness, but I was getting hit. It was like I was getting hit, but it was like basketballs hitting my head, It's like like I wasn't getting dizzy. I was just like bonk, 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 because they really didn't know how to hit, And then... That's
what I realized. Most people, most people out there, they don't really know how to do that, to fight like they say they know how to fight.
They were just a bunch of cheap shot artists.
That's what it is. That's why they feel they have that confidence, because it's like they run in numbers or they just do a quick cheap shot knockout.
They were cheap shotting me. Like they would run in and hit and then jump
go
back
out.
out.
Wait,
And then I noticed that like most of the bouncers or the security that was working were just holding the crowd back. They weren't helping me.
Oh, my goodness.
So the only guys that helped me was this guy named Todd Johnson, bar back at the time. He became a bartender later, but yeah. So Todd comes from behind the bar and jumps in. Then a couple other bartenders come and jump in. So all the bar staff jumped in. My own security guys didn't do shit. You know? They were scared. They were scared.
So here, let me ask you this. So since you've had all this experience, at what point does one? Because I'm assuming that most of the audience, myself, yourself, we've all had these interactions, whether you're at a club or you're in the street, where you don't really know when to turn on that aggression, right? Because see, you were a bouncer, so you were probably always in that condition red, right? But for the average person who's going and shopping at Walmart with their kids, and some crackhead comes walking up to you, how do you dictate the levels of aggression, right? Because like you want to be standoffish. Hey, buddy, like too close. Thank you. You have your family with you. You don't really know. But at what point do you have to turn on that aggression and be like, hey, that's good. Back up. Like when do you have to switch it? Because what point do you know it's too late? Like what are some pre-contact indicators that something's about to get serious and you have to switch it on?
Well, first of all, it's their body mechanics. I mean,
like body language, you mean?
Their body language
Okay.
showing you they're getting ready to be aggressive, and then
What does that look
you need
like?
to start adjusting.
What does that look like?
You know, blowing up on you.
Blowing up as in big-chested?
Or acting skittish. You know, like they're trying to talk themselves into the attack.
Like pumping themselves up.
Pumping
almost.
themselves up,
Ooh,
you know.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah, so you have to be able to read these signs, you know. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you get caught slipping, you know.
That's my point. Any more signs that you could just think
You
of
know,
off the top of
and
your
if
head?
they're getting too close, palm them in the chest, get back.
Palm them in the chest. What's a good what's a good non-dominant posture to where you're not like a chicken with your head cut off. You're not with your hands down like talking to someone, but you're also not like in fight stance. You're in between.
Well,
what does that look like?
Well,
Because you don't want to be like this talking with some random stranger.
I have a few different stances I stand in. One I call the Jack Benny, where I'm.
And like, you taught me this one.
Yeah,
you taught me this
stand
one.
here like this, and then now, bang, you can hit them, or you can boom, you can hit them. You know.
That's a good one, Jack Benny. Give me another one. Give him another one. That's a good one. So like you're talking right now. If me and you were standing and talking, and you didn't know me, and I'm coming up to you, and you had your family with you, and you are now the protector of the situation.
Yeah, well, I'm negotiating, or I'm like, hey, I don't want no problems, you know.
But that's that's almost traditional
like,
Muay Thai stance right there.
Yeah, it's like I don't want any trouble. This is telling him I don't want no trouble, and if they move, pop, or poke the eyes or whatever I need to do, because I'd use open hand attacks.
So how much of the training that you've learned in there, like back in the day, and your belts and all this stuff, how much are you actually using in the street? If you're doing this, you're poking eyes.
Well, I mean, the mechanics of my, learning how to punch and turn, it's the same thing. All I did was change this from the ring into this, so now I still have the same weapons.
But it looks less, because now you're in a world of cameras,
This
right?
doesn't look intimidating.
Because as soon as a fight breaks
maybe
out,
looks
people
like
are
I'm
doing this.
This maybe looks like I'm scared.
Fair enough.
I don't
So
want
you
no
look
problem.
like the victim.
Right. So
And then I come at you and do something.
If a camera's on, I mean, I might be saying, "Hey, I don't want any problems," or I might be saying, "Yeah, come closer, douchebag." I might.
But to the camera, you can't really tell.
The camera's up watching it; they can't hear what I'm saying.
You look like the victim. Like,
Yeah.
hey, bro, whoa, relax.
So
hold
yeah,
on.
but
That's good.
the other thing is, I stand with my hands on my hips. Something where my hands are close to react.
To get to where you need.
Yeah.
Are you
or I'll be like this. Most of the time, with me, it's either like this or it's like this.
I like that. Hands.
And I'll go back and forth.
So the point is hands at the ready.
Yeah.
Hands at the ready.
And if I'm carrying a weapon, my hand's in here.
That was, you literally answered my next question. Since I know your hand to hand is disgusting. I know that. I felt that on a very light level when we'd light spar, touch spar. I felt it. But are you a weapons kind of guy? I know your knife skills, but do you carry every day?
I carry most of the time.
What do you, if you don't want to, you don't have to get too detailed.
I carry a small, 9mm.
Okay. Any kind of blades?
And then usually I have a knife on me somewhere.
Some type of,
Yeah,
somewhere.
Somewhere easy. Called a grappler's nightmare.
Oh, I like that. Because that's what a lot of people don't understand. So every time some people, like we talked about, they don't have that mindset, right? When I tell people I carry a knife, I carry a gun, and I've trained Muay Thai and I've done certain things, they're like, they think I'm like, they're like, who's after you? I'm like, literally nobody. But why wait until someone's after me to start this crap, right?
Yeah.
Like, why not start now, and why not get all of the levels covered? You just
Yeah.
said a grappler's nightmare.
Yeah.
Most
I mean,
fights end to the ground.
I'm also certified in teaching spear.
The spear technique.
Spear technique, yes, under Tony Blauer.
Tony Blauer, yeah.
So I'm one of Tony Blauer's instructors for spear. But once again,
Okay, so for those who, just 2 seconds, I'm sorry. For those who don't know, that is a huge deal. Tony Blauer is the guy with what we're talking about. He created the spear system, which is a very quick.
for a sucker punch response,
Yes. Like that startle flinch response.
startle flinch response,
Can you give me a quick little example of what that means? What that
Well,
looks like?
okay, when you're in a baseball thing, right? When you're watching baseball, and all of a sudden you hear the crack, you hear the bat break,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you're like this,
You flinch.
you flinch.
Okay.
So, or someone jumps out and scares you, and all of a sudden you go, ugh.
Your hands automatically
Your
protecting your
hands
face.
already go to the position they need to be in.
Car accidents.
So
I've
you're-
heard car accidents. Most
So you're already wired.
in the hands.
You're most people are already wired with, self-defense wiring. Now it's just a matter of, is that person going to go or is he going to freeze?
How does one hone that in?
So you go from sucker like oh shit back into oh shit, and now we're fighting. So but I mean I can't tell you how many times that I've been with dudes that look like they're the baddest man on the planet. As soon as the fight broke out, they went the other way.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm talking where that was their job to protect the club, and when a fight broke out, or someone that looked scary would cause trouble, and I would say go handle that. I'd have to go handle it myself because they were too scared to go handle it.
And these are the dudes that look the craziest.
And these guys looked the part. So now I don't judge any book by its cover, because there's dudes that I didn't think would fight at all,
And they're killers.
and would jump right in every time.
But then you also have the dudes that look like they can fight and actually can fight. Like
Yeah.
Carl. Remember Carl? Is he still training with you?
Yeah,
That man is...
yeah, yeah. He's scary looking.
he's he's a rock.
Yeah,
And his fists are like, even light sparring,
yeah. They hit you hard.
harder than hard.
I
Bruises every time I spar
and I'm
him.
going all the way back to the '80s. Like I cannot tell you how many guys that I thought, by looking at him, I thought, oh, this guy's going to be good backup for me. Next thing you know, I'm handling it
By
myself.
yourself.
Yeah,
That's horrible, because and I know, I don't want to say the name, but I know Andrew Tate says this: can't fight is fine, like the fact that you can't fight, because that can be fixed, but won't fight is
Yeah.
unacceptable.
yeah.
Because that's a mind thing. Like if you're
Yeah,
that much of a
'cause
pussy that
you're-
you won't fight to protect your friends, your family, or something,
Yeah.
that's different. It's like can't fight, fine, but the fact that you won't even be willing to get your ass whooped potentially to protect someone is
Yeah.
what the hard part is.
And I've had some guys that worked with me couldn't fight a lick.
So
But they
other
would be
than-
right there every time.
Other than cauliflower ears, what's a good indicator that someone's a fighter? Like that you should be like, okay, hold on now, because I notice most real fighters don't carry themselves like they're fighters.
Right.
Stop that. Most real fighters don't carry themselves like they're fighters.
I said, it's hard to judge if someone can fight just by looking at them.
Fair
But I
enough.
look for signs of, like, are there any scars on this guy's face? Does he have a flat nose? Does he, is he missing any teeth?
Yeah, fair
Like, it
enough.
looks like he got his teeth punched out or something. But
Okay,
and then I'm looking at their knuckles to see if they got scars on them.
scratches.
You know what I mean? So I'm looking for any indicator that this guy's a scrapper. But when they got clean, nice fingernails, and they got, manicures, and they got, the
Yeah. You're like,
I'm not
okay,
saying
we're
saying
probably-
anything about those people. I'm just saying I've noticed some guys, they get manicures and they get their waxing or whatever the hell they're doing, shaving their legs. I'm not really trusting that person to be in my corner with me. Like,
Fair.
I'm
I
thinking
love that.
I'm thinking this guy don't want to get his hands dirty.
It's
So
been a rough time for masculinity,
Oh,
I
yeah.
would say.
yeah, I guess what do they call it? The woke culture.
Oh my God.
I mean,
where are you?
I
Where
get-
are you stand? I feel I already know where you are, but where are you, Master Nick, standing in this?
Well,
In this wokeness, do you
I,
get many?
I think the problem goes from the parenting.
Okay.
Like my boys, I know my boys can whoop ass and take names.
I've met your boys. They can definitely whoop ass and take
You know,
names.
so
And I'm sure you're
I was never not. I love my sons. They know I love them, but when they mess up, they get it. And whether the police or whoever
good.
don't like what
Good.
I do, like well, I'll tell you,
Consequences for actions are okay.
For instance, my oldest son, when he was 10, I told him like 10 times, quit playing with fire.
Yeah.
Next thing you
That's
know,
so cliche, right?
I just
But
get
it happens.
I'm just getting together with my second wife, and I'm living in her house, and this joker decides to go out.
Wife?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we're just starting to live together. I think we might have been married. We might not have been. I think we might have been married. I get off work 6 a.m, and I usually leave the door open. They got the 2 dogs that kind of alert me when he's not doing the right thing.
Love it.
You know.
Love
and then
it.
it just got quiet, and I woke up real quick, and I was like, "It's too quiet. He's doing something," because I could always kind of hear him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I would sleep, but I wouldn't be asleep. You know, it's like a weird rest, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
you're not really at ease. Like, you're not really at ease.
I walk outside. He's got the house, damn near house on fire.
Oh, my gosh.
Playing with fire again.
Yeah.
So
But that's boys,
I
right?
said, I told you that this is the 3rd time, and I took off my belt and I whooped his ass.
It takes that. My brother, sorry to be putting anyone on blast. My brother once got his ass
That guy?
whooped. Yeah, my brother got his ass whooped by an aerosol can while he was on the phone with his girlfriend.
Oh, yeah?
But my dad was so pissed. He actually grabbed the aerosol can, the first thing he can find, and was beating him with it. And he was like, "Oh, I gotta go. I gotta go." And the woman and the girl wouldn't let him hang up because he was like, "Why are you hanging up so fast?" He's like, "I gotta go." And my dad's but that's what it takes. Because
Yeah.
I remember that. Even as the younger brother, I'm like, I don't want what the fuck that just happened to him.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
So-
but parents aren't disciplining these days.
Yeah, so I wasn't afraid that the teachers in his school or anyone else was going to call the police on me or whatever. But the problem I made was I whooped his ass. And I only swatted his ass maybe 5 or 6 times.
Which son was this?
Dean,
The oldest.
the oldest one.
He just had the baby.
Now I'm glad he didn't hold that against me because he's like 6'4" now.
Yeah, he's a big boy. I
Yeah.
trained with him the other.
Yeah,
not
so he's so anyway, I felt bad after I got a little bit of rest, and I was like, man, I kind of was a little hard on him. I said, hey, call your cousin. We're gonna go to Wet and Wild.
Is that something that you say sorry for, or is that something you just make it up for it without the words?
I didn't say sorry. I just made up for it by taking him to Wet and Wild.
Beautiful.
So I took him to Wet and Wild. He had a blast all day, but being in the water all day made those bruises come out. He got waterlogged. You know, his ass got water from being in the water all day. So it wasn't good for the little welts that were put on him.
But dude,
So when he went to
takes it.
school, you know, the next day, one of the teachers
Is
saw.
this light too bright for you?
No, my eye just waters. you
Oh,
know.
okay. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Cause I can just drop. I can drop it in my
No,
potential.
I just my eye every time.
Do you need
like,
a napkin? Can you get a napkin? There should be one. Just this bathroom right there. You can grab it.
So
Sorry, we'll get you. I'm sorry. I just thought that was too bright for it. Anyways,
no,
continue.
it's not bright. It's my eye always gets dry.
Thank you.
I had surgery on that eye, so
Oh,
yeah. When I fell off a hoverboard, that whooped my ass.
yeah. I'll leave these here for you just in case.
So anyway, so the teacher calls CPS. They come to the school to take my son. They call me and said, "Don't call your son. Don't talk to your son. Don't talk to his wife."
Jeez.
Of course, I didn't listen. I immediately called my wife and said, my ex-wife, and I said, "Did you tell him what he did?" And she goes, "Yeah, I did, but they didn't listen. You know, so, you know, I'm not doing anything. It's just going to be what it is. You know."
Yeah.
So I said, all right. So I waited for the court date, and then the day before, a kid, 8 years old, started a house fire and killed his brother and sister in a house fire.
Oh my goodness.
So I took the article with me, and then when I went into the when I went into the hearing, I threw the paper down in front of the judge, and I said, "That's why I whooped my son's ass,
Oh my God.
because he ain't gonna do that."
Yeah.
And she
It
said,
takes it. It
and
takes
then
it.
she simply said, "Sir, you can whoop your son's ass, just not with a belt." And she goes,
We've
"That's
all got it.
case is over, right?" That's all she had. That's all she had to say to me.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah.
So anyway, that being said, he's only got it like a whooping, maybe once or twice, maybe 3 times his whole life, like a
But
real,
they matter.
like a real whooping.
Yeah, but those matter.
And the last time I got on my youngest son was when he was bullying his niece. I mean, his cousin.
Mm-hmm.
She was living with us, and I think he was maybe 12 at the time, and he got it a couple of times before that, but 12 was when he really got it. He kept bullying his cousin, and I said, "Hey, that's bullying. Stop bullying, or I'm going to bully you."
Good way to put it, because
And then he didn't listen, and a few minutes later he's doing it again, and we were playing a video game. He's calling her stupid and just a bunch of nonsense, you know. And I went, "Hey, that's bullying. Stop bullying. I'm not going to tell you again. That's bullying. Stop." Then he would look. A few minutes later, things started going. All of a sudden, he did it again, and I snapped. I grabbed him by the back of his hair and walked him upstairs. And the only bad part was when I grabbed him, I gave him 2 swats, and then my dog came flying out of nowhere and grabbed my arm.
you have a Belgian Malinois, right?
Yeah, Belgian Malinois.
Yeah.
She was so quick. She got over there. She was like, She was like, "Knock that off." So I got like 2 swats on him, and all of a sudden, boom, the dog's got my arm, and I'm like, "You better not bite me." She's got my arm, but she's not sinking the teeth in, you know?
Don't do it, man. I get the point.
He ran upstairs, and I had a little issue with my dog. Like, she was growling at me, and then when he ran up the stairs, and she let go, and then kind of was like, "I'm sorry." But I was like, "Don't you ever," you know?
Hell yeah, of
But
course.
she was protecting him, so that's what saved him from getting it worse.
Getting it worse.
But anyway, he's never, from that time on, he knew how serious I was when I'd tell him, "Stop doing something."
Here's the thing.
He just turned 18, so hopefully he's okay about it too.
Better. Here's. Do you need more beer?
No, I'm good.
You good? Okay. And here's the thing with kids. I feel like you just said that very serious disciplinary action that you took, that even took you to court for it.
Yeah.
But that's a very, I believe, fatherly thing to do that a lot of moms won't do, right?
Right.
That strict disciplinary action. Would you recommend that for anyone who potentially maybe don't have that father figure, maybe like a single mother, recommend putting their kids in some sort of martial art to get that discipline?
They do that for, I mean, I have so many mothers
students
that bring their kids to me because they've lost control. And then, of course, they use me.
No,
I'm going to tell Master Nick.
Can I say one thing? Okay. One time, I trained with him. And my kids, sometimes they get a little rowdy, as they all do. One time I took them just to my training. I had no other option. I had to take them while I was training. And I've never seen something about his presence. Right now he's lax, he's drinking, he's chill. But it's something about his presence that even when he told my kids, and I got some pretty rambunctious kids. I mean, I took my 3 boys with me, and they were all rambunctious. And he somehow, I'm training, and I'm doing my work, and he notices that my kids need something, and he would tell the kids one word, and they've never met him before, and they would listen immediately. Something about that presence.
Yeah.
And I feel like that presence, that disciplinary presence, is so important. That coaching, that guidance is so important, right? What's a good age to start kids?
Well, I mean, I like.
What kids do you see? Like, what age do you see them most receptive?
I think from 5 years on up.
5 years is a good age.
5 years old is a good age. 5 to 8 years old is a good age. Because remember, our kids develop, most of their development in discipline is from like 2 years old to 8 years old.
Okay.
Now you've
That's when you want them.
That's when kids develop their attitude.
Is Muay Thai a good starting prep?
Yeah, I would say Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, you got to give them something, something that has discipline,
You have all that at your gym, right? Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, boxing, everything, right?
And then some guys aren't going to be fighters, but they learn how to fight,
Just a self-defense.
Yeah, they just use it as a self-defense. And I was like, this easily turns into strike to the eyes. This easily turns into groin kick, you know?
Yeah.
There you go. Now you got Krav Maga.
Right? Let me ask you. There's a question I've actually had asked to me a lot, and a question that I have had asked a lot myself. So now you're in that situation. You can't walk away. You have to do something. You start having this conversation. You start feel. This is where I was gonna go. You start having that conversation. You start feeling your body shift, your energy shift. You start getting that tunnel vision. Heart starts pounding a little bit, but you want to make the right decisions in this intense moment. Any methods to combat that fight or flight adrenaline rush that happens before something serious happens?
Well, I mean, of course, if your adrenaline's starting to pump, and that means something's going on, you know? So,
But what if your level of threat is weak? Like, what if it's not a threat, but you're just so weak as an individual that you perceive it as a threat? You see what I mean?
yeah, I mean, once again, like, just learning how to read people, you know, like, you know, just being in a good stance and or, you know, in a position to be able to move or get yourself out from, you know, where you could get trapped, you know?
Fair enough.
Turn the person, get them talking.
But more or less that freeze, that moment where you are about to do something that you have to do, that moment where you freeze, how do you get yourself to unfreeze?
I don't know. That's just a question I can't answer.
Fair. You just gotta kind of do it.
You just got to be able to go, you know?
Because I
yeah,
noticed
you know,
even,
there's people that, I mean, training is one thing, but at the same time, I know people that trained and froze, you know?
Yeah, because that's what I was gonna say. Because you train in the ring and you know the guy against you, he probably hates you. He wants to fight you just for that second.
There's a
but
big,
after,
big
it's over.
difference from a ring fight to a street fight.
That's what I'm saying.
So the
Because
ring,
the problem is
the ring fight is, okay, I got booked for a fight 8 weeks away. Now I got to prepare myself for 8 weeks for that. So I'm already preparing to be in that situation on the 8th week.
Yeah.
So now we got weigh-ins, so I got to see the guy. I got to get pumped up. So my adrenaline's pumping then.
And you already see the guy. It's not just some random guy you bump into
Then
on the
I
street.
might have a press conference. Then I got to deal with that guy at the press conference. Okay, now we got to fight. So you had time to develop your brain to fight this guy. Whereas in the street, we got to go right now. I don't have time to build my courage up. Because sometimes fighters have to, they build their courage up to the fight. So the courage is building. The courage is, their training is better. I got time to train. I got time to think. I got time. In a street fight, you don't have time to think. It's going right now. So you're either good in the street or you're terrible in the street.
And you can't fix that, you don't think?
No, I don't think you can fix it. I think you have to be wired for it.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Some people are fighters. Some people are flighters, I guess. Fight or flight, fighters, flight.
And that goes to say, that person that has that in the street doesn't have it in the ring.
Interesting.
So you could tell that guy that just whooped your ass in the street, I'm gonna put you in a fight 8 weeks away. Now he's got time to think about it. So a week through, I decided I don't want to fight. I'm gonna get my dog got sick. You know, my parents
they're not ready for it.
or need me in some godforsaken place, and never make it to the fight. But if you approach him in the street, he'll go like that.
But in the ring.
But in the ring, he had too much time to think.
Ooh, wow. Interesting. So some people you're saying are wired for that.
Some people are wired for the street.
Yeah.
I bounced with guys that were wired for the street but don't like training.
Interesting.
They just have it, you know? So
I know you're saying that some people have it, but what makes someone have it? Like, how does someone...
we don't know.
Like, what in their life makes someone have it?
I don't know. They just have it. Like superhero shit.
I love it.
You know?
I love it.
They just are wired with, oh shit, this guy's going to hurt me. Pop, 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 you know, and fire him up or stab him or whatever, or shoot him.
To get in there.
You know, some of these people that kill you can't fight. They just kill you. You know,
Because they can.
who would ever think that this guy, what's that serial killer's name? John Wayne Gacy or whatever his name was. That guy couldn't whoop a sick whore. But he would, hope I don't get canceled. So that guy couldn't whoop your ass, but he would trick you and handcuff you, and next thing you know, you're in a bad position. Kids, you know, whoever he was attacking. Same with that other dude.
Dahmer.
Dahmer.
The one that everyone's talking about right now.
Yeah, the Dahmer dude. You know, basic pussy, you know?
Yeah, pussy.
He would trick you and then use some medication or whatever he is to get you drunk and then get you out of your mindset. So that goes to tell you, don't go drinking with anyone.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, this was closed when you got here.
You opened that. Y'all didn't see him on camera, but you opened it.
But any other, no, I'm good. So any other time, both of those dudes, even though what other dude that was a serial killer dude, they couldn't fight to save a life.
It seems
but
like
they
they
would,
pick easy
but they would
targets.
take your life.
But it seems like they pick easy targets.
They pick easy targets.
So how do you not become an easy target?
Quit drinking with them.
What I mean is, what are some indicators of someone who's an easy target? Like if they have these traits of being an easy
So if
target.
you just met some dude and he said, "Hey, come over to my house. We'll have some drinks."
Right away, you said some dude coming to their house and having some drinks. I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, of course. Okay.
But
No.
let's give.
But let's say you had some funny bones in you. You know what I mean? So he says, "Hey, let's go to my place and have some brewskis," is what he used to say.
Yeah,
Like, why would you go there?
fair.
No, we have them right
Don't
here.
move. Yeah, we got beers right here.
And then he goes, "Here, let me get a drink for you." But then he'd take and mix this little shit in the drink and then give you the drink. Why would you drink that if you didn't see where it came from?
Smart,
I
a lot of
just
people are stupid.
don't understand why. How did you let that guy get you a drink and he was out of your sight? No, if we want a drink, I'll go to the bar myself with you. You can buy me a drink. That's one thing.
And that's guy or girl,
You know?
honestly, right? That's
Guy or
words.
girl.
Yeah, that just works.
You know, like I had a situation once where I was out drinking, and I was hammered.
But you aren't an easy target, hammered or not.
Yeah, but this guy decided he thought I was an easy target, and he came up to me and Dewey will tell you the story, but he wasn't there at that time, but he was there at the aftermath. This guy, and I was hammered. There was a guy here and his brother, Jesse, and this guy named Jesse has a twin brother, and he says, I leaned over the bar and I said, "Bro, I'm hammered." I go, "Man, I don't know how I got this hammered, you know." And this guy next to me says, "Well, I should probably whoop your ass right now so I can get some bragging rights." And I said, "What?" And I turned around and immediately attacked him and beat his ass.
Was he joking?
I don't
was
know.
he like
I don't know.
some guy like, "Hey, yeah, this would be a good time to do it."
Well, just because he said it, I wasn't going to give him a chance to do
He
it.
just binked him right away.
So I turned around and I said, "What'd you say?" And then he balled up, and I just attacked him, and then just whooped his ass right there, high as drunk as a skunk.
But strike first,
But
strike hard.
I just thought, oh, this guy wants to whoop my ass so he can brag, you know. I mean, the split second thought went through my head, no, and I just attacked him.
But
And I
that's
might have been
just-
wrong, I don't know,
But that's
you
just
shouldn't have said that to me when I'm drunk.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That just gives more validity to what you're saying about having it, like
Yeah.
having that.
Yeah.
Some people just detect threats.
You got to give yourself permission to go.
Interesting.
You know,
I like
so
that.
so if you don't give yourself permission to fight, then you become a victim. You know,
Yeah.
so I got some girls in my gym. There's no way you could ever get them girls back to your place. There's no way.
I've sparred some of the girls that you train.
No, my girls are their mindsets are strong. I do seminars with them. I talk to them about situations, and it's going to get worse before it gets better.
You have like
You
a
just have to
all-girls
fight.
program, right?
Yeah. I do a all women's class, but I talk to them about mindset and like you're going to be attacked at some certain point in your life. Of course you are.
Fair. Like, don't try to hide that fact.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's going to get worse before it gets better. You just have to fight. And then nobody that's taking a victim wants to fight their victim. They just want a victim. They don't want one that's going to scratch up their face and make it rough.
Yeah, they're trying to pick the easy
You want
targets.
it to come along nicely, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I've even gave a couple smacks to these little, I don't even know what you want to call them. Back in the day when they were doing that GHB and stuff, and they would take an eye drop.
GHB, the drug shit?
They
Like
would,
that date rape stuff?
Yeah, date rape stuff. They'd put that GHB in their drinks and comatose these girls at a club, and to try to get them to come back to their room or whatever, to try to time it right so when they leave the club, the girl passes out.
Oof.
And I've caught a couple of those guys, and they're probably pretty sorry that they ever met me, you know?
I'm sure a lot of people are.
Because I just don't like that. You know what I mean? Like, you drugged a girl, or you're trying to drug this girl, I would take their stuff off of them, and then, of course, I'd, give them a little, remembrance tool.
Yeah,
Remember this day.
If it's one thing about Master Nick is there's a level of excuse me, that's too close. There's a level of line that you don't cross, and that's usually respect, right?
Yeah.
That's usually respect.
I just think, and it's always these little pretty boy dudes, like, why do you want to drug somebody? I don't get it.
Because they can't do it any other
You know
way.
what I mean?
They can't just
So
go
I was
get
like,
a girl.
You're a good looking guy. You should be able to score these girls. Like, I knew this one guy that was a trainer around town.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Let's not say names if it's anything discriminating.
His name was Romeo.
Okay.
I would say what I thought, but I guess you can't say these words nowadays.
You gotta be. Yeah, now we get canceled like that.
You got your first show got canceled because of one kick, Nick. So this guy had a aerobics program with women in his class. They loved him, and for some reason he had to use that GHB on them, take them out, basically rape them, and then. So he was doing this to his girls in his class, and I never got the chance to run into him to tell him what I thought about it. But he got busted. The girls all came together, and one victim came out, another victim came out. Next thing you know, there was like 10 girls that were raped by this dude. And then he got like 15 years in prison or something, 20 years in prison. But yeah, that was one time that the system got him.
Yeah.
But, he thought he had it under control, like where they wouldn't remember or things like that. And then they realized that when they woke up, something happened, But that was a dude in town, and that's goes again to what I'm talking about. Keep an eye on your stuff, Keep your drink with you. Don't let him watch your drink for you. You come back, you're gonna have a problem.
I love that.
And he looked trustworthy, and he ran a great, he did it for the girls so he could get girls, and the girls were actually liking him. He didn't have to do that. He just did it because he got a kick out of it.
Weirdo.
Yeah, he just did it because he got a kick out of it. That's why he did it, because he didn't have problems getting girls. This is one of those dudes,
He just wants to take it.
Some people they get a kick out of doing that,
That's insanity.
But and you get this, like we talked about that dude who had an agenda for each of those dudes that he killed,
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have a fair fight. They were drugged.
Yeah, he was ahead of them every step of the way. He was pre-planning everything. That's why I try to tell people preparation is everything.
Because they didn't expect it out of him, because he didn't look like a killer,
Yeah.
Next thing you know, your head's in a pot,
Man, looks can be deceiving.
So I always say, trust your instincts. If your instincts telling you something, just trust it. And if you're wrong, you're wrong. But you'd rather be wrong than dead,
Then, left with your pants caught down if you're in a Jeffrey Dahmer situation. You good?
Yeah.
You need
good.
some more?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I could do
But
that.
other than that, with self-defense, I have it. I know that it's wired in me because I've been tested so many times. But You just never know. So why not just get the training and just in case?
Just in case, yeah.
You know, you might have to fight your way out. You know, you might have to be forced to do it. But then now you got some training behind you to fight, you know?
Fair enough.
And then you might freeze. Who knows what people are going to do? Like I said, I've known some of the biggest dudes, scariest looking dudes ever froze when it came down, you know?
Makes sense.
Like one of these was a good story too. I was working at Scores, and I had a big dude work. Yeah, I had this dude work for me. One Mr. Nevada. I can't remember what year it was. But he
Like
won
Mr. Nevada, like Olympia?
like a bodybuilding.
Bodybuilding, okay.
And he's walking around. He always had his sleeves rolled up, you know. And I used to always tell him, roll your sleeves down. You look too intimidating. You know, you're going to cause problems.
Yeah.
Well, these two pimps came in one day, and they were pimping the girls, trying to get the girls to work
Like
for them.
actual pimps.
Actual pimps.
Okay.
You know, L.A. pimps, you know.
Okay.
So he came in, and he come up to me, he goes, hey, Nick, you know, there's guys at the bar, they're trying to pimp the girls. I said, go tell them that there's no pimping in here and to leave. And he goes, oh, okay. So then he came back. And he goes, hey, man, they're still doing it. What do you want me to do? I go, I want you to go down there and tell them to leave because you already told them once. Did you tell them once? Oh, yeah. I go, well, go tell them again. Just go tell them again. Go tell them, hey, guys, had a second complaint. You guys got to stop. I watched him walk down the stairs right by them, say hello to them, like, hey, how you doing? Mm-hmm. And walk right by him. And then he came back upstairs. I watched him, and I told my brother at the time, he was one of my best friends, you know, and he's like a brother to me. And I said, hey, watch this. So he comes back up, and he goes, hey, man, I went down and had a talk with him again, and I told him, I go, you didn't tell him shit because I watched you walk right by them and say hi. I said, so
Yeah.
I'm
You
going
didn't tell him Jack
to, so I
Dillon.
said, you're scared.
Yeah.
So I said, so I'm going to go down and do it for
The
you.
nice guy syndrome.
I said, you're 6 foot tall and you weigh 245 and you're afraid to tell some pimps that they can't pimp in here? Let me show you how
Some
it's
people
done.
don't have it.
So I go down and I tell the guys, hey, listen, guys, and I'm in my Jack Benny. I said, hey, listen, guys, there's only one pimp in the club and it's me. I said, so you guys, one more complaint. You guys are leaving. I'm going to be nice to you guys. I'm going to let you stay because I know you haven't been told, but there's no pimping in here. They said, no problem, bro. No problem. They shook my hand, and then they stayed the rest of the night, and they didn't do it. And then when they were leaving, they came over to me, and they said, hey, thanks for the respect, bro. And they shook my hand and left.
Wow.
And I looked at the kid, and I said, you see how you get respect? You can't show fear, bro.
You can't show fear.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, so they sense fear because they sensed the dude was scared.
Yeah, they could tell.
But
You
this
see
big
it.
old dude, I'm like, so that's why I'm saying, I'm like, you can come around and jack your chest up in front of me all you want. I pretty much believe that you're not going to do anything, you know?
And even if they do, you're ready.
Yeah, and even if you do, you know, but I know so many of them that, you know, and they got bad tempers, and the guys that I know pretty much aren't going to do nothing are the guys that treat their women bad, you know, smack their girl around.
Yeah, the ones
Because
that
that's
just
the
have no
only
class.
one they can smack around.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
Like I can almost guarantee you, and I'm saying that to you dudes that hit your women,
Listen
that-
closely,
that-
motherfuckers.
you're probably a pussy, you know?
Yeah, you wouldn't stand
You know
2
what I mean?
seconds with Master.
Like you wouldn't do it to a guy. And there might be a few that can, but most of the guys that I met that are, you know, treat their woman like shit, you know, smacking them, intimidating them, and when it comes down to a dude, they're not going to do it.
They won't do it
And
because
I've known so many that have done it, and I was like, "What?" And I
'cause
call
they
them
know
on
that
it,
difference.
and I'll call them on it. Why you treat your girl so bad, bro? Why don't you get you a new one if she's that bad?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Hell yeah.
if she pisses you off that much, get a new girl, get rid of her.
Yes.
But you know, even me when I went through my situation, you know, a while back with my divorce, I never touched that woman. I never talked to that
My
woman.
divorce as well.
I-
Never
I-
once
I,
had no. It was a very easy,
Yeah.
copacetic divorce.
Yeah, this was, you know, I was pegged to be the bad guy, but I never did. I never let it out. So, but at the end of the day, I love my wife, She's the mother of my child. Why would I hurt her? You know?
Facts.
And that's the same thing with these dudes. Remember, hey, that's the mother of your child. You don't own her. You know what I mean? Just because you know the old saying, you don't own people, places, or things. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? So at
You
the end
have
of
a
the
degree
day,
of authority. Like, you have a degree of, like, I don't want to say control, but you have a degree of say.
I'm not saying that. So, on the other hand, I'm not saying that some women push their guys to smack them or whatever. Now, that's a different story. If you're hitting on him and smacking on him and punching him in the face and he reacts, I mean, you cause that reaction.
It's a reaction. That's listen, he's not saying hit your woman. He's saying that if a woman goes so far as to attack
I mean,
their
if
man,
she's
there
doing
is
bodily
a reaction.
if she's doing bodily harm to you, hitting you with the phone or breaking a bottle over your head, you're going to react.
True.
And then you can't blame any guy for reacting.
It's a reaction. It's
even though
different.
you think, you know, but
Different than, like, meditated, premeditated.
I've known some women that's hurt some dudes because they wouldn't fight back their woman, you know. But that's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about the dude that is a jealous dude and then who doesn't do nothing to the guy, but when he gets home, he beats her ass for it, you know. You know what I mean? That guy. That's the one I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the women that bring it on
Doesn't do
themselves.
anything to the guy. That's so true. That's so true because the guy would give them problems.
Yeah, he would give him because
He would give them issues.
he can't control him, but he can control her. Like,
that's a good.
You beat her ass because he talked to her, and she just kind of was nice or whatever and said, you know, whatever. I know guys like that, and I call them out on it all the time. And I've told dudes, I don't hang out with dudes like you. You know, I think you're a punk. You beat your woman. You're bad to your woman. I think you're a punk. I don't want to hang out with you.
Truthfully, I wholeheartedly believe that the point of training and learning how to protect yourself is to protect your woman, not hurt your woman.
Right.
To protect her is to protect her from.
I mean, I have a rule. I mean, my wife was batshit crazy.
Which one? That's not. I'll cut the name out.
Oh, it's all right.
Yeah, I'll cut the name out. But go ahead.
Yeah, like she was that type of person that would push you to wouldn't shut up and get on your nerves enough to, you know,
really irk you.
To really irk you.
But she knew the position you were in. She knew you were a fighting coach for 30
But the only time she ever got hit by me is one time.
Oh, are you sure you could talk about this on a podcast? It's gonna be
it's great.
Okay.
It's great. So there was an issue with another woman.
Okay.
That I knew years ago, and we had a cool one fun night out, no sex involved.
Okay.
But just a wild, crazy night out that was crazy. And the girl, after we drank all night, she decided to drive and run over and hits this guy on a motorcycle at a stop sign.
Shucks.
The guy stood up when he heard the brakes hit, and she hit the bike went forward, he turned around and looked at her. So every time she sees me, she references something along that lines of like, hey, when are we going to go out again? You know, and something like run over people or something. Whatever the line was, right? Yeah. So she said something to me, and my wife took it wrong and started bickering back and forth with the girl. And the girl was like, well, I known him longer than you, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, so I grabbed my wife's hands because she was ready to go hit her. So I grabbed her hands and I said, stop. And then, so I'm holding her hands and I'm telling the other girl, would you go away so you could quit causing a problem?
Yeah,
just go away. And all of a sudden, boom, headbutt me in the eye. I mean, full on headbutt to my eye.
The wife.
My wife.
I'm not going to say the name, but the wife.
My wife headbutted me.
Okay.
And she went boom, and I went boom.
Ooh.
I thought the guy next to me punched me in the thing. So I was just reacting.
Yeah.
So I hit her on a reaction. So she grabs her eye, I grab my eye. We're both sitting there grabbing our eye.
Very hard.
And I was like, who the hell? But I was a backhand. Because I had her arms, you know, I had her wrist. And I'm looking this way, and all of a sudden, boom. And I went boom, boom.
Just quick reflex.
Because there was a guy standing behind us.
So you assumed it was
and he was a
dude.
friend of mine, and I thought my friend punched me.
Damn.
So I turned and reacted, and I looked, and he was nowhere around. And I looked at her, and she's holding her eye, and I was like, "What the hell?" And she goes, "You punched me." I go, "Did you just hit me?" She goes, "I headbutted you because you were holding my hands." And I was like, "Wow, she's tough." She got one off on me.
Yeah, right.
And then so we both went around with black eyes for like 2 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
So that's our best memory.
Love that. Love that.
Yeah.
Well, sir, it's been awesome. We definitely have to have another.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah,
But you got to have
definitely.
Dewey first.
For
And then-
sure.
and then
I gotta
we'll
have
talk.
Dewey. I want to have the Njokuani brothers.
You got to even have Alfie.
Alfie.
Uh-huh.
Tell me about Alfie before we close out.
Alfie's one of my fighters that was with me for years.
Alfie.
He used to live with me. He used to fight for me.
Oh!
Yeah, little Alfie.
Is he
Alfie
still
Alcaraz.
around?
Yeah, he's around.
I also want to get
I'll
Anthony on.
I'll set it up for you.
Please do.
Yeah,
Please do.
but don't let him talk anything about sex though.
I
Tell him
mean,
this is a self-defense. We're talking about self-defense. We're only talking about. We're not talking about any.
Actually, here's the thing about the Tapered Viking podcast.
Oh,
It's about prepare, lead, and protect.
uh-huh.
So if I can somehow find a way to wiggle any conversation into those categories,
Yeah,
I will do it.
yeah. He'll turn your podcast into X-rated.
We'll do it. Love it. I'll just put like a,
You're gonna bleep him. Bleep, bleep, bleep.
Yeah. Well, it's been wonderful. Tell the crowd where they can find you.
Well, you can find us at 6320 South Pecos Road, number 117. Really easy to find. We're right behind the U-Haul place.
One Kicks Gym.
One Kicks Gym.
Are you on Instagram? Any social
I'm
media?
on Instagram at One Kick and One Kick 702, and I don't really do Facebook that much anymore. So.
I mean, who does?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't do Twitter. I don't do.
We're just gonna talk about the Instagram.
I might do TikTok. I do TikTok. So I'm on TikTok too. I don't remember what I'm on under there though.
Search Master Nick.
I think I'm One Kick Nick, or
Check this out. If you Google, let me help the crowd. If you just go on Google and you type in Master One Kick Nick, his life pops up.
yeah, my whole.
He's been around for a while. He's been doing a lot of things. He's going to continue doing a lot of things, and he's just really a presence in this idea of protection and fighting and preparedness and just masculinity as a whole. A lot of what I learned today, a lot of who I am today is because of this man, and I want to say thank you, first of all, for everything you've instilled, everything, a lot of things you might not remember because you have so many students, but a lot of things that you instilled in me, a lot of things that people you've trained, who trained me, have instilled in me till this day. So for that, I thank you. And is there anything else you want to say before we close out?
Yeah, so just think of REACT, realistic applied combat training. That's what you need.
REACT, realistic. Say that one more time.
Realistic, essential,
Okay.
applied combat training.
Realistic, essential, applied combat training. I love that. And with that, we're going to close out. This has been another episode of the Tapered Viking podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. And this is definitely not going to be the last episode with Master Nick. Some things you don't know about him. He is a musician. He is in a biker club. He is...
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
No.
Another thing we could talk about. Because
Yeah.
you were a biker for a while.
I was, but no longer.
No longer.
I still ride, but not with the club.
Not with the club.
Yeah.
And you are the type of man who can just work his way in and out of a club easily, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you are.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, you guys, it's been awesome. And thank you for everything. And one more cheers before we close out.
Yes, sir.
All right. It's been awesome. Thank you, sir.